guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe, and I got a couple comments on my last video in regards to me talking about just kind of shooting the shit, if you will, with Bethesda and Microsoft's conferences and what stuck out to me and what looked stupid and whatever else. So I figure I'd touch a little bit upon what I did see. I didn't see all of it for Ubisoft and Sony. Some of it I did read up on afterwards. Some of it I saw. In terms of Ubisoft, I sometimes wonder what these companies are thinking their clientele is, because the first thing I think they started out with was like a Just Dance routine. At least I think that's what it was. Everyone came out in these dumb costumes and started jumping around, and I don't know. I was like, what is this Zoobly Zoo bullshit? Like, why would gamers want to see these people jumping around like morons? But these Just Dance games or these rhythm games must sell to someone, I guess, at this point. I mean, I thought it was kind of dying out, but maybe with kids and stuff, they're big still. I really don't know. They did show a Ghost Recon game that looked okay, but I'm not really a Ghost Recon fan. It's usually a little too strategic for me. I like Rainbow Six a little better, even though Rainbow Six is a slow-paced first-person shooter, while Ghost Recon's more of like a tactical first-person shooter, if that makes any sense. Like, you have to move your guys more tactically. Sometimes I like the more, in-depth stuff, but the closest I get to that is Rainbow Six, which you really have to think and act out your emotions. I'm trying to think what else I saw from Ubisoft. I know the other day they had announced Watch Dogs 2. I'm still actually in spurts playing through the first Watch Dogs, so I really don't have any reason to get Watch Dogs 2. I also think the protagonist just looks really stupid. The first one was like a dimwit with a blank slate, so like I felt like he wasn't likable, but he was kind of a blank slate, so you can kind of in your head imagine what he was like. This just looks like a hipster douchebag, so I'm not really sure what they were going for, but whatever. So far, they're 0 for 2 in terms of protagonists in Watch Dogs. Why don't they? I don't know. Like, I guess they're trying to make a central story around like this one guy, so that's why they're sticking to one person. But I would like it a lot more if you'd either be able to at least slightly customize your character to maybe look like you, or just have like a main guy and a main girl or something that you can pick from. I feel like the characters just kind of hold it back in the Watch Dogs games, but whatever. For the Sony conference, they didn't show off any of their new hardware. I know they've been talking a little bit online about the Neo, which is the 4.5 or 4K version of the PS4. I don't know if they initially were going to show it. I don't think so, but I do know that Microsoft came out with something, I guess, a little bigger with the Scorpio than they expected. So maybe that's why. I have no idea. Who knows what these people talk about on the inside? I'm sure Sony and Microsoft duke it out in the arena, so to speak, but behind the scenes, there's probably guys that are friends that talk and tell each other inside secrets and shit. So they probably both knew where they were both at company-wise, and they go back and forth and trade information. Probably that's my guess. So they did show off The Last Guardian. I don't have an interest in that. I think, why do I want to say it's something to do with, it's not like a sequel, I don't think, but it's something to do with Ico and, what's that other one with the big, tall stone monster? Is it The Last Guardian? I don't know. I know there was some kind of addition to, I don't know if it's straight up sequel or some kind of like more of a backstory type thing, but I wasn't interested. To be completely honest, the first-party IPs for both Microsoft and Sony don't really do it for me. I mean, I used to like Gears of War 1 and Gears of War 2, and I did like Halo 2 a little bit online, but otherwise, I'm not really a fan of those series too much. And in Sony's situation, I don't really care for Uncharted, and they're remastering the Crash Bandicoot games and putting them on the PS4, I guess because they'll see how they sell, and then they'll end up hopefully doing a new one, but I'm not a platformer guy, so I sound pretty, like a pretty big stick in the mud, right? I'm not a platformer guy, so Crash Bandicoot does nothing at all for me. If they were to say they're gonna redo Way of the Warrior on 3DO, but like, you know, updated and crazy and shit, like a Mortal Kombat fighter, then I'd probably be a little interested. I know that sounds stupid, but that game at least had some kind of a weird, quirky personality. I just, I don't know. Remasters do it for me when they're a deeper game that I missed out on, or that I actually like really love, but they're remaking it, adding a bunch of DLC and a bunch of shit. Crash Bandicoot was just, you know, flat for me, but to each their own. The other thing was Hideo Kojima came out and showed some kind of trailer with Norman Reedus, the dude from The Walking Dead, who he was using in Silent Hills, which got canceled. And it's some kind of game called Death Stranding or Death Stranded, I forget which one. And he's in some like post-apocalyptic like desert world, and I think he was naked in the trailer from what I read. And I guess he has to work his way out of this world, or it's some kind of like Mad Max stories kind of thing. That seemed kind of interesting in terms of the plot, or the not the plot. They didn't really show much plot, but the atmosphere and the background, you know. But I'm not a really Hideo Kojima fan, and the reason for that is I find his stories to be extremely long-winded and boring and convoluted. I forced myself to play through Metal Gear 2 and 3 on the Vita, and you know, I can see why people like them, but they don't do it for me. Once you start introducing like crazy weird plots, and they kind of like jump all over the place, and I'm supposed to piece them together or find some kind of lore out there to make them make sense, it doesn't do it for me. I don't hunt down lore, you know. You give me the plot, I'll listen to it, and then I'll interpret it how I want. But for the most part, I just found most of his shit to be convoluted, and the long cinematics. I know they took them out in the newest Metal Gear game, but when I asked my friend Timmy, who's a huge Metal Gear fan, I said, so you're gonna get the new PS4, you excited about this new Kojima game? And he goes, not really. And I said, why? He goes, he's kind of losing it for me. And I was surprised, because Timmy loves this dude. I said, why? He goes, I don't know, the last Metal Gear was really fun gameplay-wise, but the story was just him jerking off all over himself. And I was just like, okay. So, I guess he's just on his high horse in terms of making games. I don't really know. I think overall, they both had okay showings, you know, pretty good showings. Things that people are interested in. Nothing I'm like, oh my god, over the moon for. As I said, Quake Champions looks, from what they mentioned at least, I mean, they didn't really show much, and they showed a quick trailer of like a video. That might get my interest when it comes out, maybe. Prey 2, maybe. That Sea of Thieves games with the pirates, maybe, but probably not, because like I said, I'm not really a pirate person. Everyone was like, oh, Sony killed it, Sony killed it. I think they were both, you know, sevens. Microsoft and Sony both pulled out good conferences, nothing amazing, show-stopping, or great. The only thing that Microsoft did that Sony didn't do was they mentioned both Slim hardware and the Scorpio, which I thought was ballsy, at least in terms of the Scorpio. So that kind of, you know, hat goes off to Microsoft. But I was thinking more about my buddy Phoenix Splash TV, Josh. He had said this morning on one of my videos, I think the video with the Microsoft and Bethesda impressions, he had said, I can't believe they're turning around consoles this quickly. And he's right. I mean, I'm very like on the fence about the whole thing. I know that it is soon. They're mentioning, you know, a new console iteration after, what is it, 3 years? I mean, I've had mine, like I said, since March of 2013, I believe. So it's kind of shitty. They did mention that, oh, we're keeping, Microsoft at least, we're keeping it all in the family. You know, we're gonna no gamer left behind. And I like that. I like the idea of it. Whether it works or not, or they implement it correctly, is a whole other story. I was watching Retro Gaming Tube 85, my buddy Sean Long, and he was like, are you guys retarded? He was like all pissed off. He's like, look at the 3DS, whatever, XL, is that the most recent iteration? I don't really play handhelds. He goes, you know, the newest Zelda game for it plays perfect on it. But if you go back and play it on the 3DS, it runs like shit and it's buggy and like fucked up. He's like, so this is what you're going to get. You're going to get mediocre to crappy ports that work great on the newest console, and you have no choice. Or they'll eventually just start making exclusive stuff for the newest console to push the limits of it, and it won't work on your old console. So I like the ecosystem Microsoft. This is me talking again now, not Sean. I like the ecosystem Microsoft is trying to build with, you know, Windows 10 and Microsoft games both being cross-play, cross-platform, whatever. I know those two things are different, so I don't know where the line is there. I know what they mean, but I'm saying I don't know if they're going to be cross-play and cross-platform or just cross-platform. This no you know, Xbox One left behind, which sounds like a military term, no man left behind, is interesting and intriguing, and hopefully they do follow suit to where it's like a PC, you know, where you can play a Overwatch on your Xbox One and dial up the settings to ultra high or whatever, ultra fine, and then dial them back to low or medium if you have a regular Xbox One. Excuse me, I misspoke. Dial them up the highest to the Scorpio, and then dial them back to medium or low if you have, let's say, an Xbox One. So something like that, maybe, but I don't, you know, as much as we are playing on PCs, these consoles are pretty much just PCs now. I don't know where that line is. Again, I'm not a programmer. I don't code. I don't do anything like that. So to say, here it is in this detail, if you lower the visual fidelity, you can play it on the older system, that might work, but does that mean more work for these programmers? Does that mean the price of the games are going to go up? They're eventually just going to be like, fuck this. So I'm not really sure what they're going to do. But that's my sorry about that. That's my 2 cents on the Sony conference, the Microsoft a little bit, Bethesda, and Ubisoft. So thanks guys for watching. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.